We've got 2 minutes to air. 2 minutes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Zoomer Hall. My name is Paul Thomas. I am the program and music director here on the new Classical FM. And on behalf of our station, we are thrilled that you are all here today. We are also thrilled that we are about to enjoy a wonderful performance with Sharon Azrieli. I'd like to remind you that this is a live performance. I know Megan just went through all the house rules, so I'll spare you all of that. But also afterwards, we have a catered reception for you. And you'll notice we have some tables set up where you can find out a lot more information about our company, including things like CARP and Zoomer Magazine and our sister station, Zoomer Radio. So I invite you to drop by. I'll be over there as well. Say hi, ask any questions you have, and maybe find out a little bit more about what we do here at Zoomer Media. At this point, without further ado, I'd like to pass things over to the host of today's program. Here is Bill Anderson.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Welcome. What a beautiful day out there. For those of you who listen to our radio station regularly, I think you know I live in Collingwood. I moved up there almost 2 years ago because we have 3 transmitters. There's one in Collingwood, there's one in Cobourg, and then there's this little one here in Toronto. I was with the station when they were still transmitting out in Cobourg when I first joined them 20-some years ago. And then we moved here. Well, we moved to another place in Toronto first, but now I'm in Collingwood, and usually to drive down in Toronto rush hours, 3 hours or a little more. This morning, 2 hours. You know why? Anybody who could took a 4-day weekend. Sorry, boss, I'm sick. Can't come today. And I don't blame them. But I'm glad you came here because we have some wonderful entertainment coming up just for you. The only thing I want to mention is I think either Megan or Paul told you that we are on live television, streaming on our website. So if you're here with someone you're not supposed to be, you might want to. How long, Megan?
40 seconds.
Television is hurry up and wait. Get in your spot. Wait. His name's Jonathan.
Okay, we got 20 seconds to air.
Her name's Rita.
Getting the hands warmed up to clap. All right, let's hear it one more time to see your energy. Let's test it.
Hello and welcome to another magnificent performance in Zoomer Hall. It's brought to you by Natural Calm, the Better Magnesium. I'm Bill Anderson from the new Classical FM, and today we are pleased to welcome a Montreal-born soprano who has thrilled audiences with her Canadian Opera Company roles, made her debut at the Metropolitan Opera in New York City just last November, and today she'll sing for us. Please welcome Sharon Azrieli.
and gazed upon me with love. He refreshed me with raisin cakes and apples, for I was faint with love, for I was faint with love. His left hand was under my head. His right arm was around me. I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, not to wake or rouse us until our love has been fulfilled.
All together now. Wow. Sharon Azrieli, it's so nice to have you with us today.
Thank you.
Can we start our conversation by asking you to tell us about those songs you just sang by a Canadian composer named Sroll Irving Glick? How did you discover his magic?
Oh, they're fabulous songs. They're part of 7. They're called 7 tableaux from the Song of Songs, about King Solomon. And I actually studied them for my final recital for my doctoral recital from the University of Montreal, which was in, I think, 2011. And I just love them. And so I'm going to be singing them actually in Poland and in Prague with the Czech National Symphony. And they're going to be on the next Analecta recording for the Azrieli Music Prizes.
Well, that's wonderful news. I want to talk more about the tours that are upcoming and also those recording sessions. But first, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
And was there a day, was there a month, was there a period in your life where all of a sudden you said, I love to sing and maybe I could do this as a career and a life? When did that happen?
Oh my goodness, probably grade 2.
Oh, really? And your parents pushed you into it, right?
Oh my gosh. Au contraire. My father, who was a wonderful, wonderful father, did not want me to be a singer. Absolutely not. It was the worst possible career he could imagine. And he said, I'm only going to pay for voice lessons if you get into Juilliard.
Really? So you
So,
got into Juilliard.
It took me 3 auditions.
Wonderful. So you rebel, you
Yep.
did it, and here you are. So tell me about the Juilliard experience, because it's world-renowned as a place to learn.
Yes, but it was very hard to get in, as I told you. It took me, and now as a mother, my children are also both musicians, and I couldn't imagine if it took them 3 auditions to get into. My son went to Berklee College of Music, but it only took him one audition.
At Juilliard, you met Joan Dorneman, became one of your mentors.
I met her before, actually,
had?
luckily
Okay.
enough, yes.
But Joan encouraged you to go study in Israel. Tell us about that
She
experience.
was very, very kind to me, and she actually brought me to Israel, I learned their musetta, Norina, and actually Manon Lescaut. She was really very good to me.
Well, those are the beginnings. There's lots more to talk about. There's lots more to hear. We're going to just take a short break first. We're live in Zoomer Hall with Sharon Azrieli, and we're going to learn about her Canadian Opera Company debut right after this.
So we're gonna do a little bit of a Q&A with the host or with Sharon. Does anybody have any questions for her? Any questions? Any questions?
I wondered if you would like to tell us a little bit about your debut in New York, because I know that's a huge, huge room, and it must be really hard to sing into it.
Oh, it was wonderful. And actually, what was funny about it, I was a Jewish nun. I was the funny nun in Suor Angelica. And no, yes, at first it's very hard because, you're so far away, from the end of that room till the end of there, it's not even the size of the stage. Right? Can you imagine? So you're standing past there, and you don't even see the conductor till there. And you need that prompter because the prompter has to tell you where the conductor is. Otherwise, you're going to have a delay in the sound. That's how big the room is. But once you get out there and you know what's going on, to hear 5,000 people laughing because you're funny, it's the thrill of a lifetime. It was really wonderful.
Just got one up here.
If there was any role that you could choose to portray in your career and its longevity, what role would that be?
Mimi and Bohème, that's my favorite. Yeah. That's an easy one.
Thank you. Any others? Oh, hold on. There we go.
Tell us about your being a cantor in Montreal, and what synagogue was that, please?
That's one of the questions for later, but it was at Temple Emmanuel. Yeah. I don't want to step on his
Is
questions.
there another question that I saw? Oh, here we go.
A quickie one. Honey, what do you do to warm up?
Such a long question. I started at 8 o'clock this morning. What do I do? Beep, 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 beep. I mean, I have so many. Tons and tons of lots of exercises. You don't want to hear them all now?
My favorite opera is Porgy and Bess. Love it. Do you ever sing Porgy and Bess?
I have done it. I'll tell you, I have done it in Israel, but in my opinion, there is a misunderstanding about the Gershwin estate, and in America especially, white people are not allowed to sing it. So I hope and pray that at some point that will change. But for now, unfortunately, I wouldn't be allowed to sing Bess, but I have done it, because I have it on my if you go to SoundCloud or iTunes, I do sing Summertime, and My Man's Gone Now. You can download it on what's it called, Spotify or iTunes. You can download me singing those arias. You can get them, but I'm not allowed to sing that role, unfortunately.
So we got 2 minutes to air. If there's another question on this side of the room, so I don't miss anybody. Come on, someone's got to have a question. Is there any more on the other side of the room? Just wanna go. Oh, up here.
You'll recognize this voice.
If you were not singing opera, what kind of music would you sing? For fun.
I just released a Broadway album, which I hope you can all go online and download. It's on Spotify and it's on iTunes, and that's my new love. And you're going to hear that at the end. After this next set, which is Russian songs, then we're going to move over to Broadway because Jonathan is an amazing musical theater composer. And then so we're going to sing 4 musical theater, and that's my new love. This is
Thanks for all your questions. We got to get ready now. You know, hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. You did remind me of all the years I did early morning radio. And so I was up at 3:30, 3:45 in the morning. And in order to wake up the voice to go on the radio at 5 o'clock, I would do the da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I pulled up to a stoplight, and the cop came up and looked in and heard me. Yeah, I had a lot of explaining to do. No, not at that time of the morning. So we're all just about set to go.
30 seconds? Oh, hold on. 30 seconds now. 15 seconds. Warm your hands up, get them ready. Get ready. 15, real 15. All right. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Welcome to the Zoomer Hall concert series with our very special guest, Canadian soprano Sharon Azrieli, who will now treat us to some beautiful music by Tchaikovsky.
Средь шумного бала случайно в тревоге мирской суеты тебя я увидел, но тайна твои покрывала черты. Лишь очи печальные глядели, а голос так дивно звучал, как звон отдаленной свирели, как море играющего. Мне ствон твой понравился тонкий, и вес твой задумчив живит, и смех твой грустный и звонкий с тех пор в моем сердце звучит. В часы одинокие ночи люблю неустанно прилечь, я вижу печальные очи, я слышу веселую речь, и грустно так засыпаю, и в греза неведомых сплю. Люблю ли тебя, я не знаю, но кажется мне, что люблю.
We're live in Zoomer Hall with Sharon Azrieli. Tell us a bit about that Tchaikovsky music.
Well, it's one of the most famous.
I'm going to ask you to pick that up.
So
There,
sorry.
We can hear you better now.
Whenever I get into a cab and there's any Russian driver, I sing that song.
Aha! And he gives you a tip, right?
Every Russian knows that song. It's the most. It's a beautiful. The basic line. They're at a ball, and a man sees a woman, and he says at the end, "Do I love you? I don't know. I think I love you."
And that's how it all begins. The Canadian Opera Company, we mentioned it before we went to our commercial break, and in particular, Richard Bradshaw was a very important part helping you early in your career. Could you tell us that story?
Oh, I was so lucky. I really was lucky. I was at Juilliard, and at the time he was conducting the opera that we all had to be part of. And after I graduated, he said, "Come and audition for me at the COC." And that was my first start. In fact, the first thing they offered me was the cover of Lulu. And I was like, no, it's not for me. And it took a lot of guts for me to say, I'm sorry, but, no. And so they came back and they offered me the cover of Mimi and of Juliette in Romeo and Juliet. And I was so